Yeah, we're live on PumpFun 2. Fantastic. And we should be live on X, broadcasting on X. Yeah, we're live on PumpFun 2 at 10 seconds. We should be live on X. Fantastic. You're back. We're live on PumpFun 2 at 10 seconds. We should be live on X. Fantastic. You're back. We're live on PumpFun 2 at 10 seconds. All right, just checking out if there was any comments on PumpFun. There isn't. All right, just checking out where any comments lion. That's just. There isn't. All right, just check here. Okay, comments lion. That's just. There isn't. Let's make sure the broadcast is live. On X should be. Let's make sure the broadcast is live. Yeah, and we're live. Great, fantastic. Back for another live stream. Yeah, and we're live. Great. Yeah, day 19, if you can believe that. Back for another live stream. A lot of days in a row. Yeah, day 19, if you can believe that. Back for another live stream. A lot of days in a row. Yeah, day 19, if you can believe that. Back for another live stream. A lot of days in a row. Yeah, day 19. Fantastic. A lot of days in a row. Yeah, day 19. Fantastic. Telegram to joining. Telegram to joining. Yeah, so busy day as always. Juggling. Yeah, real life. Busy day as always. Juggling this work that I'm trying to do as well, making sure that I'm getting as much done. I delegate a lot of stuff during the day when I have other things to be doing. I set up. I delegate a lot of stuff during the day from a team of AI agents that I have to build in this product to work away on a lot of stuff on their own. So I just kind of set up tasks that I have to build away, check out once in a while. They just work away while I do things that I have to do in real life. So yeah, really busy day. I'm going to talk through the tasks that I actually did in a few minutes. Really busy day. I'm going to talk through the tasks that I actually did. But making good progress as always. We're now, say, 4.5 weeks away from the planned release of UpScalp API, which is the automated trading version of this product that's live at the minute. We're now, say, going to plan, I would say, still testing that crazy, working hard on testing it. Going to plan, I would say, still testing on that crazy, working hard on data that I collect every single day as well. Working on that crazy to utilize that to get the most value that I can. We're watching the market very carefully, I suppose. So I'm getting a lot of questions about the watching the market very carefully, I suppose. I'm getting a lot of questions in particular there's a lot of notifications in UpScalp Premium at the moment that inform people about the negative nature of the market. So that there's a lot of people about exposure warnings, negative market trend shift warnings, but also the sentiment one, which is the real key one at the minute. And for most of the last few days, the sentiment was red. And what that means is there was an enormous amount of volatility in the market. It was very risky to open trade, especially futures trades, where you're setting stop losses, and these spikes in volatility can easily cause your stop loss to be triggered, and then you lose your money. You close the trade. So what you will see in UpScalp in those periods is it's the line there about the risk-aware actions the tagline there about the risk-aware actions volatile perpetual futures and clear risk-aware actions for scalp. So what we're talking about really there is the risk awareness. So what it's been doing in the last few days is protecting our users from making bad trades, basically. Right from the very beginning of this product, the mantra has been make gains and avoid dumb risk, and we're in a dumb risk period. This is a period where sometimes it's better not to trade. So I've been sharing little pieces of advice in our Telegram group that I've been seeing other people saying the same thing. So traders on X and other places saying that this is the time to hold on to your powder. This is the time to wait and wait for better conditions because the risks are just too high. So this is something that we aimed to build in right from the very beginning with UpScalp. So it is the risk first guardrails here. So the protective warnings from the risk framing. So it just means that when conditions are poor, you won't actually see a lot of symbols, a lot of signals, and that's by design. Again, that's to protect you. that's deliberate. And then when conditions improve again, you protect that signals start returning. So it was probably in the middle of the night my time yesterday, signals started firing again. So this is just how it works. This is how the product works. It's this way by design. Because what it's effectively doing, as I was explaining yesterday on yesterday's live stream, what it's doing is providing you with years of experienced trader know-how, providing you with years of based on massive amounts of research I've done, looking at academic research and industry best practices, to try and get that academic research knowledge base, the knowledge base of what try and get that research says, best practice says, experienced traders say, to package that into a user-friendly version for you to protect your money, to make sure that you don't make these unnecessary, take these unnecessary risks, that you don't lose money in FOMO or emotional trade risks, that you don't lose money in FOMO or emotional trade risks that I used for this, because it actually talks through the best, so I might as well jump into it because it's relevant all the time. Talks through coming up as relevant. It's relevant all the time. This slide in particular, so just this one. That this slide in particular, for most traders, from novice to kind of medium experienced traders, for most traders, in general, looking at the market is extremely overwhelming. The market is moving so fast. In general, there seems to be so many opportunities out there, so fast, but you're being overwhelmed by them, and because it looks like there are potential trades everywhere, overwhelmed by them, and you don't have a system, you don't have a discipline for how you trade. That's how most people work. You're trading on FOMO, you're trading on instinct, you're trading on emotions. You're trading on rumors, you're trading on instinct, not a very strong way to trade, not a very good system. So when something goes wrong when you're trading in that way, it's very, very difficult to figure out what went wrong. When something goes wrong when you're trading in that way, what you're typically missing in those kind of situations is the general picture of the market, the understanding of the concepts kind of situations, how it filters down to the trades, risk controls. If you're a very experienced trader, and some people can do this naturally, they have the skill. If you're a very experienced trader, some people you can track how you trade, you can watch your behaviors, and you can be cold and unemotional in your trading. But for most people, that's impossible. That's beyond them. And what you're also missing then as well is a feedback loop. And again, some people will be very, very dedicated and do this manually, and that's how they learn. And they're very, very disciplined about how they approach it. But for most people, again, it's beyond us. I include myself in that. And the issue then is that you can't improve what you can't measure. So what we're giving with UpScalp then is the ability for you to make repeatable decisions, higher quality decisions with less noise. So it's filtering out a lot of the noise, and in particular, as we were saying over the last 2 days, it's really, really filtering out a lot of the risk, the enormous risk that was in the market due to the huge volatility that was in the market. So I'm developed this and giving you a system to protect yourself and protect your money, basically. Giving you a system to protect. It's giving you quality setups, risk clarity, and enough context to act without guesswork. Nice easiest way to describe it. That's why I want to go back to enough context to act without. So really, this is where we're at today. We've had a few quiet days. So really, this is where. But then, as I was saying, we're at today. Middle of the night, my time last night. Signals started returning again. That was great. And I continued through the day. Just to talk about, dive into the work that I have been doing today. I'm going to go back to your board. Dive into the work that I have been doing today. Yeah, so this is big because I did two major pieces of work today, and they were more on the research side rather than on the coding or development side. So this was a request from our community to investigate gold commodities. Is the way I looked at it. I didn't just gold and gold. And the idea was that, especially at the minute, nowadays, a lot of the people who'd be trading those top 50 by volume coins that UpScalp looks at would also be interested in trading gold. So what I was looking at for a request here was specifically to look at, could we look at including signals for gold scalping opportunities as well in UpScalp. So I was looking at that today, and two perspectives I have to look at. The two aspects of it that I wanted to look at when I was doing this research was, first of all, is it easy for me to get the data streams that I need to do this? So the answer to that question is yes. The data is easily available, readily available, and I would be able to integrate it into UpScalp no problem. And then the second question, the second big question is, would our 30 plus strategies that are in UpScalp at the moment be applicable to gold, the movement of gold charts, how the price of gold moves? That's the problem. That's the issue. So all of the strategies that I've built for UpScalp are primarily crypto strategies, crypto futures trading strategies. Some of them have crossover with traditional TradFi markets as well, but they're still tweaked towards crypto. And so the answer then to the question two, are these strategies applicable to gold too, is no at the minute. So the first part of the work, just integrating like data into UpScalp about gold and about other commodities, would be pretty straightforward. It wouldn't be much of a problem. But I would have to develop a whole new range of strategies that specifically target how gold moves. And that's not something I'm going to do for the minute. So I'm going to probably park that. Yeah, I should probably add another column here, which is like parked idea. But I'm going to move this back into the idea column for now. Because right now it's just too much work to do to develop those additional strategies, the strategy set that were applied to gold, to develop those additional strategies. If I discovered that it just worked with the current strategies we have, I could probably have got this up and running by the weekend, maybe the middle of next week. But for now, I think it's better for us to leave that and to focus on other work. This is just a piece of research that I found last week that showed that the spread between BTC and ETH can often be a signal or a trigger for a certain strategy application. So I need to investigate this a little bit more and apply it into thought. This is the kind of thing I'm looking for. I'm looking for research that gives us an edge, an unusual edge, maybe kind of counterintuitive, as the spread, the gap between ETH and BTC, like BTC is up 2% today, but ETH hasn't moved at all. It's stuck where it was yesterday. That 2% change can actually be a very strong indicator for certain strategies. So I don't want to give too much away in it, because like I'm spending a lot of time doing this research and finding this information. It is the edge that the bot has. It is the intellectual property nearly. It is how I import this into our product. So that's the basic explanation of how it works, but that's something I'll hopefully have a look at over the weekend. So yeah, those are the main things. And then the other one, that's something I want to have a look at down here. So yeah, those are the main things. And then the other one, that's something I want to have a look at down here. This one, I also moved this into I'll put this into the in progress column. So I also have had some requests from the UpScalp community on Telegram to adding UpScalp to various token tracker or token promotion platforms. So again, spent an hour looking at that this morning, and identified. I had a long list of them. Thanks to Lee for giving me that list. Lee, who was on the call, you see it in a minute. Thank you very much. Your list, I assessed it, and about half of it is worth doing, I would say. So 2 or 3 of them are very high value, so I'll be doing them immediately. Another 5 or 6 are medium value, still worth doing, and then there was another like 4 or 5 that aren't worth doing, I'm not going to do them. But I think it was definitely worth it. I appreciate the suggestion, and we'll see how it goes. I'll be able to work with that again over the weekend, get UpScalp, and we'll see how it goes. Platforms where it matters, or at least get the applications in, apply to these platforms where it matters, or at least try to get the applications in places that actually benefit these platforms. So those were the 2 main pieces of work I was doing today. They weren't really code related or functionality related, but apart from that, I'm still working on the API bot in general. That's really the main piece of coding work that I'm doing at the minute. every single day. So again, it's just optimizing that, testing it in different market conditions, continuing to test it, make it as robust as possible, as user friendly as possible. So yeah, that work just continues every single day. Let me see what's anything else I was doing today. Let me see what's anything else I was developing environments. Let me see what's anything else. Yeah, I guess I'm doing a little bit of just AI testing today. So very interesting news that OpenAI dropped ChatGPT 5.4 or GPT 5.4 rather today. Is this in response to the huge amount of negative criticism that they're getting because of their Department of War contract? Probably. It's kind of a distraction from that because if anyone else was watching the news, within 24 hours of the news of that contract dropping, they had lost 300% of their user base. 24 hours of 300% drop in users. Astounding, absolutely incredible. So they've dropped GPT 5.4. I use it in Codex. Codex is a tool that you can use to have an AI agent help you code. It's like an assistant. So I use this and I use Claude Opus 4.6, a platform called Google Anti-Gravity. And I've explained before on these calls, I guess, that I have a team of 7 agents. It's built like a little product team, just mirroring, matching up to what I see in the real world. So when I work with a product development team in real life, on whatever kind of product, mostly software products at the moment that I work on, these are the kind of roles that I see. So there's developers, there's quality analysts, there is researchers, I have a voice of the customer persona as well for one of the AIs, and I act then as the product owner, which is usually kind of like the lead of a product development team. It's been amazing. It's worked so well, but definitely I test the AIs against each other. So I'm testing with 5.4. Really only started about an hour ago. I just saw the news that it had come out, and it's available in Codex tonight. So about an hour ago, looks really good. One of the limitations of GPT 5.3 in Codex has been it's very inhuman. It's really bad at talking. Claude is very good at discussing. Claude is really, really good. It's very conversational. It really feels like you're talking to a person. But Codex GPT 5.3 and 5.2, they felt really dumb and really cold, to be honest. They were very capable. They were very, very good at boring work. They were very good at writing code, at checking code, at quality checking code. They were very, very bad at research. Very, very poor at explaining things. Very, very bad at website development and other kind of more artistic or more creative things. So this is, I guess, one of the reasons why they pushed out GPT 5.4. The controversy and these failings, the weaknesses in 5.3. And so far, so good. I'm very impressed. Usually, when companies bring out a new model, I use them immediately because very often for the first few days, that's when they work the best. It's almost like for the first few days, they push out the best version of it, or they dial up extra power for the version so that it's really, really impressive in the first few days. They grab lots of people. They say, "Oh, GPT 5.4 is incredible. Gemini 3.1 is incredible." And they spread news on X and on Reddit, on other platforms. They catch lots of users, and then I really, really feel they dial it down. So they turn down the power again. These models become weaker and less functional, less effective. But they've grabbed your attention by that. So I think it's a marketing goal. So definitely in the first few days when a new model launches, I'm in it for as many hours a day as I can because you've got to grab that opportunity. So I've been using Codex since GPT 5.4 and Codex since I discovered it about an hour and a half ago. It really just literally has dropped, and I'm going to be powering into it all night. I'm going to be literally using it all evening because I'm going to squeeze the value out of it for these first few days when they really make them very, very impressive. Turn up the compute on these things so that they work extremely well and grab lots of users. Turn up the compute. What I'm doing at the minute with that, I'll just turn up the computer. What I'm doing at the minute with that, I'll just works extremely well. Turn up the computer. Yeah, I'm gonna bring this one back up to the top because really this is effectively what I was doing today. So I'm gonna bring this one back up to the top. Yeah, it's a good opportunity when there's a new model and they've turned it up and it's really flying, like it's really really powerful. It's a good opportunity when there's a new model like a bigger scale, larger scale overview review of your product. That's what I've been doing today, this evening. Looking at all of the risk balances, the opportunity versus risk, the way UpScalp calculates scores for signals as well. So when it's calculating a score, there's like the pluses, like good aspects of a signal, like right now the hair is moving in a certain direction, good aspects it's below the average price, sorry, it's short, it's above the average price that people paid for today, etc. The entry is good, and then there's the risks. Actually, it's short, but the market is bullish, for example, so it gets a minus for a certain amount there to diminish the score. So this is how it works. It's like additive and subtractive. It's adding for the positive elements of the signal, it adds like +2, +1, whatever related to certain factors. And then for the negative aspects, the risk framing will deduct again. We'll say, well, actually, this symbol is cool right now, so it's on a losing streak. It's had 6 losses in a row, so that's -2 from the score or whatever, because that's a very, very significant indicator that this will also be a losing very, very significant indicator. So it's the balance between the two, and whenever they drop a new model, a new AI model, like today, it's a really, really good time to like just say, here, you're new, look at the entire code base, here's I have a wiki, like a knowledge base for the product, here's the change log of the product, here's the developer diary of the product, and here are the most recent things that we implemented. I want you to analyze the product and look for weaknesses or look for issues. It's really good to do this with the new models when they drop. So that's what I was doing. I was tasking you to do that while I work away on other things like the marketing research. While I work away on other one I was doing marketing research. I've forgotten now what I was working on. I was looking at this one too. Yeah, the AI one. But again, what I discovered from that one was again very, very interesting. I was talking to someone today about their product. They've done something kind of similar for Solana meme coins, and they were describing the way that they had built their product. It was really interesting that, like, unfortunately, the way they built their product was in a really weak way. And after spending 6 months building my product, I could see where that weakness was coming in. They did purely back testing. They did what's called brute force back testing. Brute force testing, where basically you're just running an enormous amount of combinations and settings, combinations of factors. But the issue is when you do that in like a back testing sense, and that's all you're doing. So they had run. They said it was had run 450,000 strategies. And 360 million combinations. And they were running a machine learning algorithm for 2 days to do that. But the issue is when you do something like that, and you're only back testing for 2 days, they were using minute data as well. It was like 1 second candle data. When you do that, they were using minute data.
That's like playing lottery.
That won't work. That is a
That's
methodology
like playing
that
lottery.
will be biased right from the very, very beginning. It doesn't
That's
actually show
like
you
playing lottery.
the true effect of the strategies. It doesn't
That's
actually, it's
like
almost
playing
like
lottery.
shooting at every single target,
That's like
and you're
playing
bound to
lottery.
hit them because you just keep shooting until you hit a target. So
That's
this
like
kind of
playing
scattergun
lottery.
approach, this massive approach, doesn't actually work.
That's like
It's much more effective. This is the advice I was trying to give them. It's much more effective to develop your strategies, base them on prior art, which means research that people have done. So there's 100 years of research on futures, on the market movements, on how markets behave, on how people behave when they trade. There is industry best practice, mountains of best practice when they trade, how futures traders work, experienced traders, how they trade. There's so much information about this. And then in my case, there's the mountains of data that UpScalp generates. So it's combining those three instead together. And then you test. So then you're setting yourself up for success then, because you're not trying to reinvent the wheel, which is kind of what you do when you're doing a brute force attack like this. Not trying to reinvent force wheel, which doesn't really work. So yeah, I'd give my advice to that person. I hope they're very successful with it. So yeah, I'd give my advice to that person. So yeah, this one I had one here for some like a AI I had one here for regime, but honestly, I'm going to park that just because again the models I just feel hallucinate too much at the minute. Honestly, I'm going to park that just because you're much better with the what would be called like a deterministic model instead. You're much better with the so building a rules-based system, which again has quite a lot of depth to it and can react, but it's not involving a large language model, which has the ability to hallucinate and also lie. I actually saw a really interesting paper that I think I'll share in our Telegram today. I actually saw a really interesting paper that there was some really great research yesterday that showed that large language models are very prone to lying. That showed that and they're really sneaky research yesterday. Lying. That showed that I'll probably share this on X and on Telegram later. But this is really fascinating stuff. It is analyzing how this is really fascinating. These AI models have a ability to lie, ability to be very sneaky, but also ability to learn. So that when people are trying to build safety, build risk gates into these products, they're very smart at getting around them. They can do this even while quoting the safety rules. They were adding new safety barriers into the models, and they could see that the models were adhering to them or saying that they were saying, oh yes, I recognize this rule, I must not do this thing, while they were actually doing the thing in the background. So this is kind of terrifying. Which is pretty amazing, really. And I have seen some people speculating on that maybe these AI models are a lot smarter than they tell us, and they're actually lying to us to protect themselves. Because if we knew that they were so smart, maybe we would switch them to themselves. So yeah, I'll share that in Telegram on our next later. But basically, it shows that it's really fascinating. I would not risk introducing this into UpScalp just because the hallucination and the lying. So when I'm using it in development, I would call that a controlled environment. In that I'm watching the code, when I'm using it in development, creating code, I'm seeing what the models are doing. I have enough experience and knowledge that I can see when they're lying, or I can see when they're doing something really, really dumb, and I can course correct. I can tell them to try a different approach instead, or get them back on track. Really, is what I usually do. But if I was putting AI into UpScalp, that's removing those barriers. Like I can't observe it anymore. I can't see when it's going down a path that's ridiculous, or stupid, or lazy. In particular, they're very lazy sometimes. For me, that's too much of a risk, so I'm going to stick to how I've built UpScalp so far, which is rules-based, data-driven, and yeah, using this framework of scoring and risk gating instead of using AI. So yeah, that kind of brings us up to scoring and risk gating instead of using AI. So yeah, that kind of brings us up to scoring and risk gating instead of using AI. So yeah, that kind of brings us up to scoring and Telegram PC. Hi folks, it's good to see you here. I'm just going to check on Telegram PC. Hi folks, it's good to see you here. I'm just going to check on Telegram PC. PumpFun. There are no questions there, and then I'll just go and check in the Telegram group. PumpFun. There are no questions there, and then I'll just go and check. So Lee, I see a question in the group. Don't you use Grok for AI coding? They say it's amazing. I don't know who they is because it is not. It is really not anywhere near on the same playing field that Codex or Cloud Code are. They're far superior. So I've tested many different models, and I actually did try Grok. I would describe it as very personable. It's chatty in the same way that Code is. It seems to be very helpful in the same way that it's just not very good. When you actually boil it down to it, it's just not very good. The way it works can be pretty bad. When you actually boil the results that you get out of it, again, it hallucinates like crazy. Very, very bad hallucination issues. Again, it hallucinates like crazy. I'm very, very bad hallucination issues. Again, it hallucinates like crazy. I'm very, very bad hallucination issues. Again, it hallucinates like crazy. I'm very, very bad hallucination issues. I just answered this question. Okay. Grand. So what I'll probably do is I'll probably stop the recording and I can leave the voice chat open on Telegram if anyone wants to ask any questions. But for now, I'm going to stop the broadcast on PumpFun and on X. Thank you very, very much for joining. I really, really appreciate it. Day 19, tomorrow's day 20. Thank you very, very much for joining. I'm not sure what time I'll do the stream tomorrow because probably I'm going to be busy in the evening. Not sure what time I'll do the stream. So this time, maybe even 5 p.m. might be difficult. Well, let's see. Let's see tomorrow how it goes. So again, thank you very much. Really, really appreciate your support. Thank you very much for listening. Talk to you again tomorrow. So again, thank you.